Hey writer friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly. I'm a writer aspiring to be a published author. And in today's video, I will be doing the AuthorTube writing style tag. So this tag was created by the lovely Katie Wilson, and she tagged me to do this. So thank you, Katie. She is such a sweet gal. So I will link her channel and her video down below, so go check her out. There are 10 questions in this tag, so let's jump right in. Question number 1, what writing rule do you break knowing you need to correct it in revisions? So I kind of half break this rule, but it's the whole show don't tell rule, and it's more so when I am writing the first draft, is I am trying to show, this character development. I'm trying to show emotions and not just tell you what the character is feeling, but actually show it in their actions, in their internal sensations, all of that. But sometimes I just come out with something generic, and I'm not gonna stop and check my emotion thesaurus to figure out like the right, feeling to convey this emotion. So instead I just kind of write whatever, whether it is telling, whether it is showing, but I have showed that same emotion a billion times, the same way that, so yeah, I kind of break that rule, but I know that I can fix it in revisions because as I go through, I notice when I need to change up that emotion or when I need to actually show the emotion. Question number 2, what writing rule do you break and don't plan on fixing? Oh, this is a very interesting one. Again, this isn't really like a rule, but it's something that I do, is that I will deviate from my outline if it works better for me. Like as I'm drafting, I'm getting to learn these characters for the first time, and sometimes then that takes the plot down a different path than I expected. And so I go with that. I realize that I'm learning more about my own story as I'm writing it, so it's okay for me to deviate from the outline. So even if at the end of that first draft, I have something completely different than what I thought I was going to write, I don't change it because I know that it's better. Question number 3, how detailed do you get? What details do you think are important in your narrative? Example, the 5 senses. Yeah, I actually almost named this in the first rule that I kind of break because I don't always include the 5 senses at first in that first draft. I kind of forget because I'm trying to immerse myself in the world and picture myself in the scene. And so I'm usually thinking about what I'm seeing through my character's eyes and never thinking about, not never, but I don't often think about what they're tasting, what they're smelling. So it's me incorporating those senses later on, but I think that that's totally important to make the scene believable, make you kind of feel like you're in that scene along with the character, and that's especially important in writing a fantasy. Question number 4, do you write flowery / purple prose or to the point? So I'm a little bit of both. I am mostly to the point, but I can start to slowly drift into purpley prose territory because I, grew up writing poems. I don't really write poems very much anymore now that I'm focusing on writing novels, but that's kind of started to bleed into some of my works more so earlier on in my writing career. I noticed that I was like, oh, I love this paragraph, it's so beautiful. And then my critique partner would be like, this is too flowery, cut it. And I was like, but it's so pretty. So I learned to have to kill my darlings. Okay, do I really need this? Is this really important to the story? So I, have learned to cut back on that, and I've learned to see when I can kind of make it poetic without being overly eye-rolly kind of flowery prose. Question number 5, do your MCs across multiple works in progresses have similar dialogue styles? Example, funny banter, introverted, talkative, standoffish. That I really, really like these questions. These are really fun. And yeah, everyone's been a little bit different. Ty, my main character from Ranakori Realm, was pretty, he was strong, he was older, he was 18. My other protagonists are 16 and 15, so he's a little bit older, so he was a little bit more mature in his talk, and he had gone through a lot. He lost his whole world, his family, his friends, and had to start new on Ranakori Realm. And so he definitely had more serious talk. There were other characters that were kind of more the comic relief. Now Jade, in my second novel, A Bargle's Riddle, she's younger, she's 15, so she's a little more not kiddish, but Like, she kind of has a little more of that childishness to her talk, and she just wants to like break away from her parents, like, who are just so controlling, and she just wants to like explore her world and hang out with all the creatures that she lives with. And lastly, Lucci, she probably is more closer to Tai in terms of like her personality and like her dialogue, because even though she's 16, she has gone through so much with, you know, being verbally abused by her stepdad and all of the things that she goes through in the Celestial Code. And so she's kind of had to grow up a little bit faster, and, you know, her dad left her when she was younger, so she kind of has a more mature edge to her. She kind of had to grow up fast in order to like kind of protect herself emotionally. So her talk's a little more serious. And again, she's kind of the same as Tai, where like, you know, she has a friend who is that like comic relief. Question number 6, do you get voice right on the first draft? No, I don't. A lot of my characters sound exactly the same, and it takes at least that second or third draft even to realize, because I always forget, oh yeah, everyone should sound different, no one should sound the same. And like, I might have a couple characters who like sound different, but I feel like my main character, I always have a hard time like giving them that distinction, because they're not that like comic relief where it's easy to just kind of throw in a punchline or something, or some quirky nickname, you know, when their dialogue is a little more serious, especially since they're going through such tough situations. Like, it's harder for me to get into that for some reason. And I'm not funny in real life, like, so it's kind of weird that like I could do all like the comedic stuff and I love like the evil villains, and then I'm like bad at like normal people, if that makes sense. Question number 7, are you better at first or third person, present or past tense? So all of my 3 manuscripts are third person, past tense. And this is something that I've been thinking about with, you know, possibly writing in the future first person, because I love reading in first person. Oddly enough, like any short stories that I've written have always been in first person. I feel like I can connect to them more, and maybe that's where I get thrown off with voice, because third person I'm kind of pulled back a little bit. So that would be an interesting avenue to explore. But I am super scared of like present tense, because I feel like because I've been writing in past tense for so long, I'm just going to be switching back and forth between tenses throughout the whole manuscript, and be like, oh my gosh, I switched to third, oh I switched to past. Like, I feel like I'm going to screw it up, and I'm going to give myself so much more work to do. But that's something that I've noticed, and will be interesting for me to explore, you know, further along in my writer journey. I don't know why I deviated toward third person past, but that's just what I had started writing in and had just kind of kept along that route. Question number 8, do you pre-plan chapters or create chapters as you write? Definitely pre-plan. I have my general outline with all of the different beats I want to hit and the 3-act structure. And I actually, it's kind of a mixture of both, this question. It's kind of a little bit of both, because I start off with just writing the chapter, and then I feel like when it's a good place to end and for me to start the next scene or whatever. But then I find that near the end, or if I'm kind of in the muddy middle and feeling that like sagging middle syndrome, then I will start to like write out the chapters, give them even chapter titles, because I like to name my chapters. I don't know about you guys, but like more authors need to do that, because I enjoy it, and it also helps me organize my manuscript too, because all I have to do is read the chapter title and I know exactly what the chapter is about. I don't need to like write a little summary on the back of it, you know, when I'm editing it. That's an aside, but sometimes I'll do that. I'll kind of, and then I'll take chunks from my outline and copy paste that into those chapters. So it kind of gives me a little bit of that guideline if I'm feeling stuck, but I usually don't get there until like the halfway point. So I kind of like don't plan it at first, and then I plan it later. Man, these questions are fun. All right, question number 9. Favorite tropes, one you use or plan to across multiple books, and then tropes you hate and never plan to use. I think I've mentioned this before, but I love me some love triangles. I don't know why. I just do. They're like juicy, and they're like, it is, you know, good conflict, and the love triangles I've read have always been very believable. Interestingly enough, I feel like I don't want to write a love triangle, because, or at least a love triangle for like my main characters, because I know that some people are so against it, some people hate it. So I try to stay clear of like being too tropey and going through those tropes where it's like love or hate, because I don't want to like knock out anyone from being interested in my book. But pretty much, so other than that, it's like I love reading it, I won't write it, but pretty much anything else is fair game. Like Renikouri Realm is the chosen one, but there's like multiple chosen ones, kind of the same with the Celestial Code and the same with Abargo's Riddle. Oh, okay, I like the chosen one theme. Well, but it's always never just that one main character. It's always like there's other people that are chosen, and for some it could have been someone else. So I guess I really like that trope. It never gets old to me, as long as there are other things in the story to keep it fresh and new, which I have done. Also, frickin' tournaments. I love tournaments, oh my gosh. So right now I can think of the Savior's Champion, which was just like beautiful, and then I'm beta reading Brittany Wang's project Fairy Fantasy. I'm not sure if by the time this comes out if I'll be done beta reading it, but it's got a tournament between the 5 fairy clans and I am eating it up. I love it. So and so I don't even know if that's a trope, because it's just like an aspect of the book that I like, and it's not like overdone at all. But I love the tournaments where there's like the battles and the physical part, but then there's also these mental challenges too. And I can definitely see myself writing about a tournament. And lastly, question number 10, do you have similar themes, mood, messages, symbols across your books? Yes, I do. I always, like, family is such a big thing for me in all of my novels. I know that family is really important to me, and all the things that have gone on in my life that have played such a big part in shaping who I am. And so I want that to come across in my fantasy novels. I want people to experience these things that happen in real life, even though it's not a contemporary. So whether that's abuse, whether that's losing a family member, whether that's being annoyed by your parents, like I want to include all of that, because it's important for, our young adult readers to experience that and to be able to relate to your book. There's always some themes of sacrifice, freedom, and then friendship also plays a big part in all of my novels too. Like, without my main character's friends, my main characters would not survive. Like, they would not be able to be where they are at the end of the novel if not for their friends. And they need courage, they need gumption, they need that drive. It's the hero in them. That's why they're the MC. All right, you guys, so that's it for this video. This was such a fun tag. I love this tag so much. So thank you, Katie, for tagging me. I'm going to tag a couple people down below who have not been tagged already. So please check this out. And even if I don't tag you and you have not done this tag yet and want to do it, I encourage you to do it. And I always say this, if you don't have a YouTube video, you want to post on your blog, you want to post on, social media, go ahead and do that and tag me so I can see your answers, because like I really want to know the answers to these questions. Please let me know in the comments down below if any of my answers surprised you and which ones did surprise you. And if you're shaming me right now for liking love triangles, please give this video a big thumbs up and click subscribe to support my channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!